Hi bookflowers, it's Kristen from Perks of a Bookflower and welcome to my July TBR. Before we get started today, if you haven't subscribed but you've been watching my videos, be sure that you hit the subscribe button and go ahead and give this video a like if you find out that you like it. Hopefully you will, because today we are talking about the books that I'm going to read in the month of July. And I will preface this by saying that the reading rush is in July and I am so pumped for it. I believe it's running from July 20th to the 26th, but I'll leave some information in the description box below. And so I'm going to be having a whole separate TBR at the end of this month, which means that I would like to, and preferably, read these books I'm going to talk about before the reading rush. But is that a little bit optimistic? Yes, because during the month of July, I am also going to be participating in Camp NaNoWriMo. And I'm going to be riding alongside some of my booktube friends like Sophie and Leanne and working on my literary fiction novel. So this is a super ambitious TBR, but I'm really not stressing myself out with it. If I don't get to them, it's fine. But hey, you're not here for these disclaimers. You're here for the books. All right, so as you know, with my monthly TBRs, they really just consist of me kind of reading books that I definitely want to read at the time of making my TBR, while also making sure that I'm reading in the different genres that I enjoy. So this month's TBR is going to include literary fiction, historical fiction, middle grade, YA, and ARC, and poetry. Basically, I'm just going to make sure that I read a book from each of the genres that I really enjoy this month. So, the first genre that I'm going to be reading in is literary fiction, and the literary fiction book that I want to read is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I have heard so many good things about this book and so many bad things, but when I hear the bad things, I think it's from people who don't normally enjoy literary fiction, and I do. So this is a story really of a relationship in all of its stages. It follows Connell and Marianne and covers the time from their very first meeting to falling in love to how their relationship develops over the years. I can tell you I'm going to lose it over this book because I love just relationship stories and following people's relationships and getting to examine their relationship over a span of time. Just sounds beautiful to me. I mean, it probably will have slow moments, but like that's real life. And I just think relationship dynamics are so interesting, and I've heard amazing things about Sally Rooney, so excuse my geeking out, but like this I'm so excited for. All right, so literary fiction, clearly one of my favorite genres, but another one of my favorite genres is historical fiction. And in July, I am going to read a book that I am predicting will be my best book of the year, and I keep putting it off for some reason, but no more. That book is Lovely War by Julie Berry. This is a story that is narrated by Aphrodite. And basically it follows 4 different people spanning between World War I and World War II and their relationships, how they intermingle and fall in love. It's kind of like a big expansive novel that's all about how love wins in the end. It sounds beautiful. Yeah, so there's Hazel, James, Aubrey, and Colette. One of them is a classical pianist, another is an architect, another is a Harlem-born ragtime genius, and the other is a Belgian orphan. So we're getting all of these different perspectives and how I think love can always triumph even in the midst of hard times, even in the midst of war. That's a message we always need, and this is a book I think I'm going to love because I love unconventional narrators like Death and The Book Thief, and so I almost certainly love this one as well. I of course also love a good graphic novel, so the graphic novel that I want to read for the month of July is Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me. I have heard of this book by Ariel Bissett. If you don't listen to her podcast, Books Unbound, it's amazing. She talks about this book a lot. And from what I can tell, it's a YA, like contemporary graphic novel that follows our main characters, Freddie and Laura Dean. And Laura Dean keeps breaking up with Freddie. their relationship is toxic. And so Freddie seeks some help, goes to like a mystic, and is not happy with the advice that she receives, which I imagine, though I'm not certain, is basically that she needs to end the relationship. So I think that it's important that teens have books about toxic relationships and why it's important to embrace safe, healthy relationships instead. And the art style, so cool. And I am just really looking forward to reading it. I think it will be probably one of my favorite graphic novels, maybe. That's just a prediction though. All right, so in the month of June, I read 2 nonfiction books, and it was the first time I'd read nonfiction in a while. I read White Fragility and White Rage for the Blackout Buddy read, and now a little spark has been kindled within me. I feel like I need to be reading more nonfiction. So the nonfiction book that I'm going to be reading this month is How to Read Literature Like a Professor. Now, I probably have mentioned this at some point on my channel, but I was an English major in college, along with being an English education major and a liberal arts major. And clearly, from the fact that I triple majored, school has always been something I enjoy so much, and I enjoy just the process of learning. I enjoy just sitting in an English class, and now I'm the person who leads English class, so I never have people who are teaching me things about English anymore, and it's sad. And it's time to change. So I'm hoping that in reading this book, I am going to be able to, it'll be kind of like revisiting English class. Basically, it teaches you strategies on how to more critically analyze literature. I'm hoping I can bring that to some of my reviews and my wrap-ups on my channel, and just in general to really appreciate the art of reading more. So yes, looking forward to reading this one in July. The next book I'm going to read in July is the pick for my book club, The Top Shelf Society. We are going to be reading... Now, classics are also one of my favorite genres, and I try to read at least one classic a month. So here's the classic I want to read in July. The hefty tome that is The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo. Now, this story is the story of our sweet hunchback Quasimodo, who lives in the Cathedral of Notre Dame, and what happens whenever he meets the beautiful gypsy Esmeralda. But it's also more than that, and I'm hoping I enjoy it, but as you can see, I've already started and it's moving very slowly. I also imagine that this classic is probably going to span past the month of July, but if I just read a little bit every day or so, that's all that really matters. I've heard there are going to be a lot of paragraphs and pages of description about like French architecture, which I'm not excited about, but hopefully I can kind of weave through all of that to get to the heart of the story. Next, if you've watched any of my recent videos, you know that I'm on a mission to read every single book by Frederick Bachman. So I'm continuing that in July. Last month I read Britt Marie Was Here. I've already read A Man Called Ove and Beartown. So in July I am going to be reading My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry. And I've heard that a lot of people like this one as much as A Man Called Ove. So I'm hoping that it'll be really good. Oh, I just read the synopsis. Wow. Okay. So this story follows a little girl named Elsa, who's 7 years old, and her grandmother, who is 77-year-old. So Elsa's grandmother is her best friend. They do everything together. And then when she dies, it's tragic, and she realizes that her grandmother, has left her a box of letters to all the people that she's wronged before, and it's Elsa's mission to deliver those letters and apologies to all the people that Elsa's grandmother has wronged. Wow, it sounds incredibly interesting, and I'm just so excited, especially to follow like the point of view of a child. I find that those stories are always kind of rare and fragile in a way, like very special. So that will be interesting to see, and I'm sure we're going to learn a lot about Elsa's grandmother as well. So I'm predicting I'll like this one better than Britt Marie Was Here, but I won't like it more than A Man Called Ove, but we'll see. Next, I hope to read some poetry in July, and the poetry book I want to read is Break Your Glass Slippers by Amanda Lovelace. All I really know is that they're kind of a collection of poems that I think will have to do with like fairy tales and maybe like giving up on fairy tales because, you know, breaking glass slippers kind of seems to support that. I don't know. There's no synopsis because it's poetry, but I was drawn to this one, and not just because it was 20% off. So I'm looking forward to reading it. And lastly, if I have time this month, I would like to get to a YA book. I do enjoy reading YA. However, I am finding I'm not loving it as much right now. But there is a YA book I've been wanting to read for a while. It's a hard-hitting one, and it's called More Than We Can Tell by Bridget Kimmerer. It's beautiful, and it follows the story of Rev and Emma, who both have a lot going on their life, and when they meet during like a video game or something, they're kind of united over this like violent act of hatred. And it's all about how their lives change on having meeting each other. I loved Letters to the Lost by Bridget Kimmerer, and I love hard-hitting contemporaries, so I think it'll be a very important, very touching and moving read, and I'll hope to get to it as well. And there you have it. Those are all of the books that I hope to read in the month of July leading up to the reading rush. So it's a lot. It's definitely overambitious, but that's basically my brand at this point. If you like this video, be sure that you hit the like button in the comments below. Let me know what you're planning to read for July, or if you've read any of these books before, let me know what your thoughts were on them. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. I post new videos every Wednesday and Friday. This month I'm going to be doing a lot of weekly reading vlogs. That's a new thing, so if you like that, make sure you stick around for them. And that is going to be it for now, book flowers. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.